Morning, everyone. Am I audible to you guys? Is my voice clear?
Morning.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, great. So let's begin today's talk. Back the next state, you can gently close the eyes. Sit in any comfortable posture. Just make sure that your back and neck is straight and then gently close the eyes. And start observing the breath, the natural flow of the breath as you inhale and exhale. Keep observing with your mind from the breath and disconnect all external factors. Of the body, the back and neck and shoulders should be relaxed and move. The face should be relaxed and then look up. And slowly begin placing yourself low and flat and smart with each part to the back and followed by two passes. Exhale completely. Inhale. slowly so last time we talked about the lifestyle of yoga and somehow the call continued to look at. So let me just say now, is it a little better? Or take it better.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the mic had gone back. Okay. So last time we were talking about food, how what sort of food we have to consume, the yogic concept of food, and we were on the quality of the food. So Rajasic food, Tamasic food, and Sattvic food. Okay. We were discussing, we were on Rajasic food, and when we were discussing Rajasic food, we talked about that food having the quality of inducing a lot of activity in the body and the mind. It's hard to digest that food, yes. And it is also like that food gives you a lot of mental restlessness also. Okay. So when you add a lot of spices to your food, it becomes hard to digest and also like it gives a lot of mental activity. So if I eat spicy food, I will see that my mind is somewhere agitated. Just try this, do your self experiment. When you add a lot of spices in the food, a lot of heat is generated in the body and that troubles the mind as well. Okay, so that is not ideal if you are going into yoga sadhana. Okay, for physical activity, people who go into sports, somewhere it is encouraged to eat Rajasic food. But over here, even though we are practicing asanas, but we are not encouraged to eat Rajasic food. Okay, only Sattvic food will be able to support your body if you want to spiritually advance when you're practicing yoga. Okay, and then we discussed about Sattvic food a little bit. Sattvic food has the quality of having a very high pranic value. Okay, so the pranic value of the food is very high. How will you get to know this thing? So let me just write down the word first. Pranic value. Okay. So how will you get to know this thing that the pranic value of the food is high? One thing is that it is generally grown in nature. Okay. So that is why vegetarian food comes under the category of sattvic food. If consumed in a particular way, so in Ayurveda you will study how the same food can turn Rajasic and Tamasic also, depending on the way in which it is cooked. So that will not come under philosophy. But just a brief touch up, the pranic value of the food will be high, which means that when you eat it, it will be easy to digest and it will give you a lot of energy. Which particular spices are Rajasic? Almost all the spices come under the Rajasic category. Okay, so if you're making a food spicy, it is going to come under the Rajasic category, especially red chili. Like these days, we add a lot of spices to the food. So all of those will somewhere make the activity like if you go to a village. So let me give you an example. If you go to the village, you will see that they cook very differently. The same food that you eat in the city, if you go to a village, they will cook it very differently. And they do not even add like basic spices. They just add salt in their food and they add ghee and that gives the taste to the dal or the vegetable that they are making. So they do not add specifically all these like we have rajma masala these days, chana masala, chaat masala, all of these things like are out there in the market. And yes, they make the food tasty, but then they is haldi okay? I think haldi is okay if consumed in uh, the right quantity. So if you consume too much of haldi, then it will make everything very warm. So it has the quality of being warm. So this is mostly see these things will mostly be covered in Ayurveda, because Ayurveda mostly talks about the health of the body and what is the food that you have to consume. So that is why I was saying that in yoga philosophy we are not going to go very deep. So as long as you're consuming haldi in the right quantity, it will not harm you. It is actually good for the system. Like before sleeping also, we add haldi to the milk and then we drink it, so it is considered to be good. So check the quantity. Okay. So mostly fruits and vegetables that are grown, and mostly seasonal fruits. So these days what is happening is, because of the mass production, you will find certain fruits throughout the year in the market, but they are not seasonal fruits. So try not to consume them. Try to consume seasonal foods and the food that belongs to your locality, basically. So for example, um, in some states rice is grown, so over there like rice consumption is high because it is grown over there and it is widely available over there. So try to go for things like which are specific to your area, which are grown in your area. They will give you more energy than other food. Okay, so you can get packed food, you can get other food also. There's no doubt that the accessibility is there, but you need to opt for things that are uh, uh, specific to your region and season. Both things should be taken care of when you go ahead and buy food for yourself. Okay. So on this basis, Sattvic, Sattvic, Tamasic food is categorized. When I cover the three gunas, then also I will like touch up a little bit on the diet, how you have to change the diet, how it's like in Bhagavad Gita, what has been said. So I will keep coming back to these things again and again, depending on the text that is mentioning these things. Okay, so when we discuss those things, like that text, I will touch up on these things again. Okay, any doubts in this? Okay, I can't see anything in the chat box. Okay, so if you have any doubts, feel free to write. Okay, something came in the chat box. No, all good. Okay, great. Okay, so next thing that we touch upon when we talk about the lifestyle of a yoga practitioner is vihar, which is recreation. So, in order for you to incorporate like yoga in your life, you also need recreation. You just cannot stop, like you cannot live your life, right? We are born in a householder's life. We have to earn our living, and we have to do it properly, and we have to support our family like our family supported us. So when all of these things are going on, when we are interacting with everyone around us, we are not going ahead and packing our bags and going up in the mountains, going in a cave. So you will face a lot of people, you will face a lot of situations in your life which will have an emotional and mental impact on you. Okay? So when we deal with someone, if they do not have the same point of view, or if something is not happening for us, suppose some work that you have to get done is stuck somewhere, so it creates a lot of irritation, agitation, sometimes even anger. So all of these things can be properly managed if you are able to go into a process of recreation, where you are able to channel this energy in some sort of art or creative activity that you like, so that it helps you to balance out your emotions. So most people, you will see that even though like last time also I talked about this, that when we're stressed we eat. A lot of people have the tendency to eat food, so that can be channeled in this recreation part. So if you love to sing, take out some time every day to sing. If you love to dance, take out that time. If you love to draw, the yoga encourages you to do this, because you have to understand how to manage your emotions, or at least channelize those emotions. Okay, so if you take out at least half an hour every day
to do something that you love, you will see a tremendous shift in your mood, in your way of dealing with that same situation. So if you love to meditate, go ahead, meditate in that time. So it depends on you. Yoga doesn't restrict you, at least in this point, it doesn't restrict you. It tells you that yes, go ahead, practice whatever you like, give it your 100% time, and uh, devote yourself to that thing. So do not leave that thing. If you like to dance, take out that time. Take it out every day. There is no off when you come to activities that actually energize you. Okay, so these activities will actually energize you. You love to do those things. So make that time so that you are able to interact in general very well with everyone around you. So suppose right now you believe you are a very balanced person. Even then, take out some me time, and you have to make sure that your me time is fun. Yes, so practicing yoga is one thing, but when it becomes fun, you look forward to doing that. You're just like, okay, now let the next day come and I'll look forward to it. And tomorrow, I'm going to paint this. I found this thing and I liked it, and now I'm going to sketch this thing. So you look forward to those things. It creates a sense of excitement and looking forward to something. So it's like really, really soothing and good for you in general. So it's like nobody else is there during that time. It's your time. Okay. Me time is always very important, and try to make it sometime in the morning. So morning, your mind is very like absorbent. So if you like reading, go ahead, read in the morning only. Take out 10-15 minutes, read in the morning. You can do one or two more things. You can club a few good habits along with that reading habit. So these habits will also become the cue for your next habit. So basically a nudge for the next routine that you have to take up. So suppose you find something very hard to do. Okay. So put this thing before doing that thing. So you are already enjoying something, and then you will naturally transition into that process which you find a little bit hard. So you can join that process. Whatever you find hard, you can join it with something you enjoy. So that way it will help you to maintain regularity in that thing also. Okay. So recreation is a very important part in the yogic philosophy overall. Okay. Then we come to the right behavior, achar. Okay. If you have any doubts, just feel free to write it down in the chat box so that I can address those. Achar is the conduct. Okay. So there is a right way to conduct yourself. Once again, we are existing in the society, and there are certain things that you should follow. In general, nobody is telling you that, okay, you have to strictly do those things, but it is better to um keep yourself in that way. I would say that if I am going ahead and interacting with someone, if I expect that same thing back from them, then I should first incorporate that quality in me. Yes. So conducting yourself in the right way will actually lead you to be treated in the right manner. So it's a two-way street. Always in life, in general, in anything, it's a two-way street. The energy that you offer, it will be reciprocated back. Okay. So over here, the concepts of Patanjali, the yama and niyama, these two concepts come in very strongly. How you have to conduct yourself when you are living in the society. So when we talk of the yamas, he has talked of the way in which you are interacting with everyone around you. And when he talks of niyamas, he is talking about how you have to maintain your own self. So one interaction is with the external world, and one interaction that I have is with my own self. So he covered both the interactions. So let me just write these down, yamas and niyamas. Yamas are Y A N-I-Y-A-S, and niyamas are N-I-Y-A-A-M-A-S. Okay. So first one is how I have to exist in the society. So concepts like non-violence, being truthful, these things come up in the yamas. So not having an attitude of stealing, the attitude of non-possessiveness. These things we will discuss when we do Ashtanga Yoga. Okay, so right now I'm just briefly touching upon this topic. When we cover Ashtanga Yoga and we start covering the 8 limbs, we will go in depth about this. So attitudes, mental and physical attitudes like non-stealing, non-possessiveness, even the concept of brahmacharya or abstinence, sexual abstinence comes under yamas. Okay. So when you're beginning your yoga sadhana, first you need to be established in these things. And because it is so tough to be established in these things in the modern times, Hatha Yoga starts with the concept of asanas. Okay. And yamas and niyamas are not something that you can force on your own self. Okay. So this is a very big misconception. What most people do is they try to control their natural urges or their natural tendency to do something because they think that now they're on the spiritual path. But it is not so. It comes very naturally to you. So let me take the example of brahmacharya only over here. So sexual abstinence. Now, um, the sexual activity is a natural urge of the human being. You cannot deny that. So suppressing it is something that most spiritual aspirants do. So they suppress their natural urge. And if you suppress your natural urges, it leads to disease. Okay, in Ayurveda, you will study this. It will lead to disease. So suppressing it won't work for you. So go ahead, keep your meditation practice, and one point you will meet, you will reach a point where this urge, the natural urge for you to engage in sexual activities, it will start to fade away. That point will come very naturally. Before that, you can consciously indulge in sexual activities. It's okay. That's all right. But do not suppress that desire, because the moment you suppress it, you are going to cause a lot of harm to your own self. Okay. So yamas are naturally, you will naturally reach a point where you will not have the desire to possess anything apart from what you need. You will naturally reach a point where you don't want to be violent. Even in thoughts, you don't want to be violent. Okay. So work on your meditation for this and you will reach these things. Then niyamas will come where I am interacting with myself. So concepts like shauch or maintaining cleanliness, internal and external both. So bathing every day, making sure that I'm washing the clothes that I'm wearing. Yes. And even internal cleansing where I'm working on my thoughts. So I'm introspecting. So swadhyaya, introspection is also a part of the niyamas. So I will give you all of these terms when I cover yamas and niyamas. Right now, just trying to explain the entire thing. So self introspection and surrender to God, all of these attitudes when I develop, so I am basically working on my ego, working on keeping the mind stable. When I have a sense of satisfaction, santosh is also a part of niyama. So when I have a sense of internal satisfaction, that is when I'm not chasing anything, I'm not running to my past, regretting things. I'm just happy where I am. So you have to work on developing these things, and eventually they will come naturally to you as well. So people, it has also been shown scientifically, people who meditate, they are more satisfied with whatever they have, wherever they are. So even science is proving these things. So meditation is your only way to go ahead and naturally acquire these traits in yourself. So keep working on that. Okay. So yamas and niyamas are highly encouraged by Patanjali ji to get into a frame of mind where your conduct becomes right. If you are conducting yourself in another manner, then it will harm you only. Okay. So he understood these concepts very deeply. That is why he said that first practice yamas and niyamas, because along the path of yoga, you will uh, come across a lot of things which will try to tempt you out. Okay. So yoga is a path which has its own obstacles, its own hindrances, and things try to pull you out. Basically, wherever you want to control your mind, the mind has this tendency to run away. So when you sit and meditate, suppose you're given a certain object, you meditate on that object, and what starts happening is that your mind runs away. So see, that is also the tendency of the mind to distract you from your meditation, right? So where you are going in the process of controlling it, of naturally acquiring that state where it becomes balanced, it doesn't run away, but it does. Okay. So you will face a lot of things on your path of yoga. When you go deeply on the path of yoga, you will have a lot of things that will come up, try to show you the other way, that okay, come out of this. A lot of things start happening in your life then to discourage you from pursuing that path. So you have to remember at that point of time, it is yamas and niyamas which keep you on track. Because if your conduct is proper at that point of time, then there is no way in which you will lose your path over there. Like, because you're very clear in your mind, no, this is what I have to do. Okay. So next thing that we have is vichar. So it's covering everything. Your lifestyle will include all of these things, working on all of these things. So vichar or thoughts. So it's Vichara, vichar. So now thoughts have a very strong and deep impact on us. It's even quantum physics is these days working on this concept only, that if you observe a particle and you have a certain result in mind for that particle, so when you observe it, the all the particles will arrange themselves in a manner where that same result is being shown to you. And when you change your uh, the vision of the result that you have in your mind, then all the particles will arrange themselves to show that result. Even science is trying to reach that point where they are saying that the ability of the mind is such that everything around it will make itself seem that way if you think that way. So suppose I look at a person and I have a certain I view that person in a certain manner. So to me, only those traits of that person will be highlighted. Okay. And when the other person looks at that same person, if they have a different image of that person, then only those traits will be highlighted to that person, because you are viewing them in such a manner that okay, this is true and this is not true. So what will happen is your experience will start supporting that, and hence your subconscious mind has a very deep impact on how you deal with things, situations in your life, because you believe that a certain thing is present or not present. That is how you start dealing with that thing, and once again, that is how it is reciprocated to you. So developing a negative attitude. So let's talk about the negative thinking pattern. So developing a negative thinking pattern will always take you to a state where your experience becomes negative. Okay, because thoughts have immense power, and if you are able to change your belief, if you are able to change the way in which you see that thing, observe that thing, then that thing will start acting in that manner for you. So that is why when you meditate, you realize you see things as you are, not as they are. Because the moment I change my perception of whatever I am looking at, suppose right now I'm looking at my phone. So if I change my perception of how I'm looking at it, earlier I was thinking it's very slow speed, it doesn't support me, Zoom keeps on hanging in my phone, what is happening? And then suddenly I shifted my perception. So earlier it was troubling me a lot. And one day I just woke up, I was in a very good mood and I was just like, aaj Zoom अच्छे से चलेगा. Today Zoom is going to work just fine. And that day when I took the class, Zoom went on very fine. It did not hang at all. And I was just like, today was a good day. But it wasn't a good day. I just simply changed my mind about it. Something in my life pushed me to change my mind about that thing. And suddenly it functioned that way. So none of it is a coincidence. Okay. Things do change if you change. So I'll take my own example. So earlier I had a lot of people in my life, like in a previous class also last month I discussed this, that once you're on a spiritual journey, a lot of people end up leaving you. Okay. So because you start changing, people are not able to accept you, so they go out of your life. So I observed this thing myself, that once I started changing the perception of the people in my life, so suppose I was not friends with someone before, or I did not like someone before. So with meditation, what started happening was it started impacting me less and less. So now I was able to see that same situation or person very neutrally. I was just like, okay, this happened, or that person did this thing. And suddenly, uh, the entire perception, the entire way in which I interacted with that same person changed. And in fact, in my own life, I was able to resolve a lot of things because of that, because of meditation, because of yoga in general. So I realized this thing, like when I changed my way of looking at them, even they started interacting in a very different manner. Yeah, so they also, like, then I was able to see that their intention was very pure. They did not intend to hurt me. It was just the action which maybe did not, which conflicted with the way in which I was thinking. But their intention was never to hurt me. So that starts happening with you. That, okay, once you change the thought pattern, it has this ability, this strong of an ability, that now you're able to make peace with things in your life. Yeah. So shift from a negative attitude to a positive attitude, and you will see that shift. So suppose a very simple activity that you can do in your day-to-day life for this thing, for incorporating this thing is, so most of us are tuned to see things that are not there. Yeah. So that is what we call a negative attitude. If I'm looking at something and I only see the bad side of it, or if I only see what is lacking, then I have a negative attitude towards that thing. So what you can actually do is, so suppose you look at something during the day and you are aware of that thought, that okay, now I'm just seeing a lack in that thing. So suppose your family members walk in and they're making a lot of noise. This happens in lockdown. This has happened a lot with all of us, that we are taking our classes and in the other room somebody else is talking on the phone, and it's just like, why are they making so much noise? Don't they know that I'm taking my class? I'm trying to study. So this is very common. So just balance it out with a positive thought. So whoever that person is who's talking in the other room very loudly, yeah, so just think of a very positive thing about it, and try to at least reach a point where you balance those negative thoughts out. So if I'm getting one negative thing, balance it with one positive thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be for the same person or the same thing, but you have to start directing your energy towards a place where everything is over there, everything is abundant, and that will shift your mind to a belief, to that trust that you will attain everything in your life, whatever you wish for, whatever you dream for. This is the tool which is stopping you from attaining all of your dreams. So if you're able to manage this, then you will reach that point. Trust me. Nothing, nothing is unattainable. Even impossible, that impossible word you must have seen in a lot of social media posts also. I am possible. So possible is a part of impossible also. So everything is possible. Just work on it. Hence, your meditation classes are very important for you because only meditation has that ability to reach to this point and make a change in your mind. Okay. So Patanjali ji also talked about various ways in which you can interact with people. So he talked of Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, and Upeksha. These four things. So he said that I'm not going to write these down. I'm just going to explain them. We will have a separate class on this. Okay. So he said that people who have good vibes, you think that certain people have good vibes around you. So interact with them in a friendly manner. Yes. If someone around you is suffering, you see that they are going through something, then be compassionate towards them. So start developing these qualities because you will come across all four types of people that I'm going to mention. So change your way of existing with them. Okay. Then you will come across people who have, yeah.
No, I was just saying that can you mention the name of the chapter where we can read about this in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, I think. Just name the number of the chapter and this if you remember.
Chapter is the first chapter. Chitta Prasadhan is the name. I will discuss it in another class in detail. So you will find it in the first chapter only. I think, no, I don't remember the sutra number right now. Yeah. So it's called Chitta Prasadhan. Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upeksha. So then he said that you will come across people who are highly virtuous. You know, we look up to certain people. We have certain mentors in our life who encourage us to become better. So you will come across such people also in your life who will support you and they make a standard for you that if you reach this standard, okay, you are doing good. So when you meet with such people, you always have to interact with them in a way where you are absorbing information from them. So maintaining that thing that okay, now I'm meeting someone like that, so I'm going to absorb, increase your absorption power, open up all of your senses to them. Okay, I'm listening to you, I'm looking at you, I'm feeling what you are saying, you know. Just try to take in as much as you can once you come in the company of such people, and then you will come across people who genuinely want to hurt you in a way. That also happens. Sometimes we come across people who do not have the right intention. So there's a difference between someone who has a good intention but their action uh, says otherwise. But some people do not even have good intentions for you in their heart. So especially in your professional life, you will experience this thing. There is a lot of competition out there these days, and people genuinely want to, like, you know, pull you down and make sure that you are not able to climb the ladder. So their focus is on pulling you down, not getting themselves up. So you will come across people who think in this way. Okay. From those people, you just have to detach yourself. You have to show indifference towards such people. I'm not saying be cold towards such people, just detach yourself. Okay, I just don't want to, I'm being indifferent. In my mind, I'm completely stable when they are over there. It doesn't impact. So once again, it's only meditation which will take you to that point. I can um, I would love to believe because you know ego is very strong in all of us, even in me. So I would love to believe that somebody is not impacting me, so I show indifference towards them. So we understand indifference in a very different manner. Internally it's hurting us, but externally we will not show that we
Just
are
one
hurting.
quick question on this one. So, I'll just take your 2 minutes. So last year in October, somewhere I started my fitness page, and of course, I saw it growing well, and it really growed well. But there were certain negative comments which I never saw coming. But of course, I knew if I am entering into this zone, as much as positivity I'm getting is as much as negative I will get. But once I started getting it, it really impacted me, so I was so scared to see the comments, because and these are all the fake account people who comments, and they are not even real people. But of course it did impact me, because I just don't know why it happened with me, but it did impact me. Of course I worked on it and I started ignoring these people. But then now is a time when I back answer them. I just clarify all the misconceptions they have and all of that. Is when I'm feeling better. So should I just like ignore them? As you said, detach yourself. So detaching on social media meaning is that I'm just taking, negative things from these people, and or should I just answer back, or should I just ignore them? What kind of a behavior should I approach for this kind of situation?
See, that's the thing. That is what I was explaining. On an action level, you might have to do certain things in your life. Yes, you will have to show that discipline. You will have to do certain things so that people don't step on you. But internally, you are very calm and composed when you're doing this. So let me just narrate a story when this thing comes up. So stories also come up. So story. So once what happened was, there was a village and there was a forest around that village, and generally from the village to say point B, if people had to reach that point B, so going through the jungle was a shortcut, and uh, going from the other way was the long cut. But people weren't able to access the forest. Why? Because there was a snake in the forest, and that snake bit everyone who crossed that path. Okay. So now people were very afraid of the snake, so they always took the long cut. Okay. So this went on for a few years, and then what happened was, one day, a yogi was going through that place. Okay. So the yogi stopped in the village, and people were telling him that, okay, if that is where you are headed, maybe you should take that path. You shouldn't go through the shortcut. So the yogi said, "What happened? Why? What happened?" So everyone told him that. There is a snake in the forest, and if you pass by the forest, he will bite you. So yogi is yogi. Okay, so yogi has this quality of non-violence, and his non-violence is so strong that everyone around him, so even animals, exist in a very friendly manner around. You must have seen Shivji also. He had the snake on his neck, but see the level of balance of mind he had. It didn't impact him. So yogi is yogi. He knew that the animal wouldn't harm him. Okay, so he went in the forest, and he met the snake. So he started talking to the snake. He was just like, "Why are you making it so hard for everyone around over here to reach the that point? This is the shortcut. They should be able to take this. They will save so much time and everything. Why are you hurting them?" So the snake said that, "I am helpless. I cannot do anything. It's my nature. If somebody crosses me by, I have to bite them." So yogi said, "Fair enough. Okay, but you can work on this." So yogi told him that you can still work on this. So what you do is, the next time when a villager is passing by, do not bite them. Okay. So now such a big yogi said this thing to the snake. So he considered it, and he said, okay, if he is saying something, it must have some relevance. So what the snake did was, he said, okay, I will work on this. And the yogi told the villagers that now you can cross this path. There is no danger. Okay. So as this started to happen, one or two villagers first crossed, nothing happened. They came back, nothing happened. Then after a while, the fear started going away. So people crossed very easily. So initially it started on this level, that people were able to cross the forest easily. Now their aim was just to access the shortcut, right? When they were afraid of the snake. who was obstructing the path. But eventually, what started happening was now they like stopped fearing the snake because he wasn't supposed to bite. So then, what they did was eventually they kicked him like on the way when the snake was there. Now, because there was no fear, they kicked him. Snake said, "Okay, I will not bite because Yogi has said this thing. I will not bite." Then eventually, with the passing of years, what happened was there was a well over there. So as a rope, they used the snake. Okay, so now the snake was tied to that well, and if they had to draw the water, it was the snake that they pulled. Okay, so eventually, after a few years, when this started happening, the yogi came to that village again, and he like saw the snake, and he saw how hurt the snake was and how he was being ill treated, mistreated. So he went to the snake, and the snake was just like, "You only told me do not bite the villagers. You only told me that you do not have to attack them, and see what has happened." The snake was also in a very pathetic state. So the yogi said, "You did not understand what I was trying to say. You have to maintain that image where people fear you. So just, you have to show that they have to fear you, but internally there is no ill intention in your heart. You are not hurting them. Okay, so it's not only about the physical action that you are taking, it's also about the internal intention. Okay, so the yogi will always take strict action. If somebody is being wronged, the yogi will take action, but internally the yogi will be very calm. So he told the snake the same thing, that you have to maintain that level of fear so that people don't mess around with you. Because once you show them that you are not, you are not going to attack, or you are not going to do anything to them, they will start ill treating. So he said that still maintain the fear. If somebody comes close to you, just try to give that image that if they come closer to you, you will bite, but never bite. Okay, so each and every one of you will face so many situations in your life where you will have to scold someone, where you will have to take the worldly manners of dealing with them, and do that. You will have to do that. Why? Because if you do not do those things, they will step on you. They will think, yes, yeah, we're taking them for granted. We will say anything to them and we will get away with it. No, you have to tell the people around you that no, you cannot ill treat me. But internally, when earlier you used to do this thing, when earlier you used to post on social media, so like you said, you waited. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you waited. So that was good because you waited for your mind to become stable. But
Yeah.
after a particular point of time, when you will practice meditation, you will come to a stage where you are taking the action, but internally at the same time, it is not
It
okay.
happened to me. So even now, if I comment back, nothing really happens to me as much as it happened earlier and it impacted me, but now it's all cool. I understand your point though. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
You will.
once we are calm inside, then only we can spread peace outside.
Yeah, yeah. And my page is only all about positivity, and people are commenting negativity is, what upsets me more about that. But now it's all cool, I just respond back with sarcastic comments, and then I'm all cool inside my head. I'm learning, though, I'm working on it.
Yeah. So with meditation, what will happen is this time gap that you are seeing right now, this will reduce. So आपको गुस्सा आया, you will get that anger, that emotion, and it will dissolve much more easily with
Correct.
with the practice of meditation. Earlier, if it took 10 days for you, now it will start taking 9 days for you.
Yeah, yeah,
So
it
this
happened.
will happen. You are
Yeah,
existing in the day-to-day world. These things are bound to happen because
yeah,
even if you are in a state where you understand these things, not everyone around you will be that way.
correct.
Yeah, and you
Yeah,
have to interact with them. There is
yeah,
no other.
yeah,
Yeah,
there is no other way.
Just
Yeah.
a little example of this, that when you keep water on boiling, right? When the water is boiling, you cannot see a reflection in that at all. But when it's not boiling, when it's calm, then only you'll be able to see a reflection. I think
Oh,
same thing happens. If we are, just getting angry, we will also respond and react negatively. So we'll not be able to see the situation very clearly. But if we are calm from the inside, no matter what is going on around us, we'll still stay calm and react and respond accordingly.
Yeah, such a beautiful example, though.
really. And actually, you are over here to only settle your own account. Okay. So if you know your intention is right, you will
Hmm.
always know if you are in a balanced state of mind or in an imbalanced state of mind. So as long as you know and
Hmm.
you are acting in the right manner for your own self, it doesn't matter. People around you will not um, care about these things, but
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
how you are acting, and that is what matters. So always make sure that when you are acting internally, you are calm.
Yeah.
That
True.
is it.
True.
That's
True.
the only way out.
Yeah. This helped me a lot.
Yeah. So a very similar story of my guru's guru. So S.N. Goenka ji, who teaches Vipassana these days. He is the one who is passing down Vipassana these days. His recordings are going on. So his guru, one day what happened was, in some cell, a meditator was coming out, going in, coming out, going in, and his guru observed that he is not serious. He is not getting serious. So he narrates the story in his discourses that he was standing over there with his guru, and his guru just went down 5 6 steps down, and he scolded him like anything. Like, he was standing 5 6 steps above, and he was like, he shook. That is the intensity with which he scolded that meditator. Yeah, because he wasn't meditating. And after those 5 or 6 steps, when he came back up, he was just like, I went and scolded him so badly, and now he's going and meditating. And very cheerfully he told S.N. Goenkaji that now I scolded him, and now he's going to sit and meditate. And he was just like, there was so much love in his scolding. So he was just in 5 6 steps, he transitioned. That is the level of sadhana he has. So that's just it, you know just that transition. You have to get in the situation and be a little bit strict, and then come back to your natural, normal, peaceful self.
I'll also share a small incident. So when I started, I entered into yoga and meditation. So my guru who taught me initially, so I was the person I used to be angry on, very little things. I used to just get angry. So, what he started doing was, once he told me that I should not get angry, but then even if he used to scold me, I used to get angry. So what he started doing was, he started taunting me indirectly in front of everybody when there are people. So, I out of love he did, but the way he taunted, it made me feel so bad that gradually I started meditating, and that anger eventually within 2 months it went off.
See,
Oh,
Guru.
wow. That's super cool. I mean, the trick was, though.
Yeah, Gurus always know. Okay, so it's time for your therapy class, and tomorrow we will cover the last concept that is left. Okay, in this lifestyle of a yoga practitioner. So let's end the class for today. So I'll just end it with Om Shanti. Your teacher is over here. So Om Shanti to everyone. See you in your pranayam class in the evening. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.
How's the neck?